Good afternoon, happy Easter, and welcome to EPTV Live. Today, we are delighted to be invited into the homes of Isabell Werth and Hester. Well, following the very sad news of the passing of Dr. Bechtolsheimer 2 days ago, it's appropriate that we're going to pay tribute to Dr. B throughout this programme. First of all, can I just say thank you very much for joining us, Isabell and Carl. How are you both?
Very good. It's an amazing day here. You know, sad news definitely about Dr. B, but it's great to be able to be here with you and pay some tribute to him.
Yes, also warm welcome from my side and my deepest sympathy to Laura and her family for this very sad news.
Carl, you spent some of your most informative years with Dr. B. Tell us a little bit about that. What was he like as a man? I mean, decades of importance he's been to the sport of dressage.
Oh, for sure. I mean, British dressage owes him, so much. Yes, he started my career back in 1989, and I went there as a very young, uneducated boy. And Dr. Bechtolsheimer obviously gave me the chance of a lifetime. I had nothing, and I had no horses, and I had never had a trainer. Lots of people had helped me, but I'd never been in a situation of a yard, certainly like Dr. Bechtolsheimer's beautiful place in Hester. And I got the job, and I remember, being completely excited in my interview. And we went to the house, and the doctor and his wife sat me down and said, what was I looking for? And I just said, I just want to ride these lovely horses. And 8 months later, I rode in my first world championship. So not only did he put me on a very nice horse to teach me the ropes in the beginning, but obviously he was a very patient, kind man. I never saw Dr. B ever lose his temper, ever lose his cool. He certainly put me on the right road. And of course, after me became Joanna Jackson, and then Dr. B rode on the British team himself at a European Championship. And then, of course, in the later years, he's also put his own daughter, Laura, and Lara also riding there with Laura. And they've both been on teams, Nations Cup teams, Olympics. So he has a very long history in British dressage. And he's going to be missed by everybody that knew him, because he was always such a kind, decent man and fun to talk to. And
Isabell, you knew Dr. B well. You've basically been around on the circuit for a long time together. Tell us a little bit about some of your memories.
Yeah, I really can agree with Carl that he was always very polite, very with a standing, and it was always with a lot of respect to everybody, the horses, the people, and so it was always really kind, and so it was a special, unique person in the sport. So a very, very kind, and something special.
Carl, just another quick word about Dr. B and about your career, because I was looking up notes this morning. Olympic Games 1992, I think it was. He actually you took over the ride of the horse that he'd been riding.
Yes, Giorgione. We had a lot of fun with that horse. I mean, before Giorgione, I had a horse called Rubelit, who knew the ropes. He taught me everything. Giorgione was a younger horse that we'd taken on, and I mean, I was mad about competing in those days. I was mad about it. All I wanted to do was show and compete and be out there with everybody and see what was going on. Isabell was already winning then, and I was just so excited to be in competition. And the doctor, of course, could see that I really wanted to go to an Olympics, and Rubelit was old then, and so he said to me, "Come on, let's see what we can do this year with this young horse." And so it was his first year of Grand Prix in 1992, and he went to the Olympics. And it was a holiday for me in a way in those days, because I just was so excited about everything. And it's interesting, the older you get, the more pressure you get. because of course people expect things from you. I think when we were younger, I'm sure Isabell will probably feel the same, but you know, when we were younger, or certainly when I was younger there, it was just the excitement of being in Olympic Games, being with all these competitors and riders. And I was very lucky to have the doctor and his wife literally, you know, like guiding me through those times, because my parents were not horsey. In fact, nobody from my family actually came to the Olympic Games in those days, because they didn't really understand it. They didn't know what a horse was, and they thought it was very funny that I was riding a horse in an Olympic game. So of course the doctor and his wife really were my surrogate family in those days, because I'd also moved to England, so I was away from my family. So very, very generous and very fond memories of those days.
And all our thoughts go to Dr. B and his family and friends. Isabell, Carl was emphasizing there the importance of having people early on in your career to guide you, train you. Your career is so well documented and historical in terms of results. Who are the special people in your early times when you were getting going?
Yeah, I think like Dr. B for Carl, it was Dr. Schönbaumer for me, because without a personality like this, you can't come up in the sport, you can't grow up in the sport. They learn you everything, not only to ride and to build up horses, the whole management around the horses, in the sport, the management in the sport. You know, all those things around, I think they're a bit, similar, because both men were also in the business, and they knew so much more than only horses, and that gave me the really great opportunity to start with horses, to learn how to do it, and then to really stay in the sport, not only to come up for a while, to stay and to learn and to take it, of course, after a while, but with your own style, your own personality. But without this basic, I wouldn't sit here. And I think it's that's what we have really, what you compare, and we both have the same history with such great people and such great persons behind. Now I have Madeleine in the row after Dr. Schönbaumer. Second time, I had really the right person at the right time to support me, and I think this is always important. Whatever you want to do, whatever you do, to be at the right time, or to meet the right person in the right time.
Well, of course, this was the right time. It was meant to be the right time, Isabell, for us all to be going over to Las Vegas next week. You to defend your title that you'd won 3 times. I'm interested to know, which horse were you planning on riding in Las Vegas?
Oh, it was Weigold I was planning, and now she's, we said next week we will ride one competition, maybe one freestyle, just to remember what we plan to do. No, joking. I think it's a serious time at the moment. We can be really, really happy not to be in the States. We can be happy to be safe at home, and this is the most important thing. Never before, I think, someone would expect that this virus could stop the world, not only the business, not only the sport, really the world. And now we train at home, we move our horses, we keep them happy and fit, and wait for the time after Corona.
And are you both working on anything more specific at home now? Because you both travel an awful lot. So actually now you've probably got the longest period of time at your stables that you've had for many, many years. Does that mean that you can focus on something a little bit more long term, if that makes sense, Carl? Is every day just coming as normal?
No, it's not normal, but I mean, young horses need to learn things, and older horses need to be kept a little bit supple and a little bit, you know, in an easy way. So, you know, you can't just put these old horses down and not do anything with them and expect them to still be, you know, in some sort of shape. So, of course, the thing that's changed the most is the pressure. You don't have to. You know, and I mean, that makes a big difference, I think, to your riding. You know, the thought of no competitions and actually being relaxed and easy with the horses at home. You know, the weather has broken here in England. We have like amazing weather at the moment. The fields are all good. We can, you know, like turn out. We can, you know, we only, you know, exercising them like 4 times a week. There's less pressure. But they still, you know, they still need to be kept a little bit in some sort of work so that they are ready for whenever the time comes that we can go back out again. But I think really, you know, the main thing is this little bit of suppleness work. I mean, as we know, dressage horses are supposed to be, you know, athletic. They're supposed to be athletes. And, you know, just leaving them isn't going to work. But I mean, we have taken all risk out of what we're doing. You know, we don't go riding on the roads or anything stupid like this. And, you know, we're trying to stay at home to minimize everything. I've been lucky in that I had staff that live here. So, you know, things can carry on as normal with the horses that we have.
And Isabell, in Germany, it's much the same situation as we have here. We're on lockdown and you don't go out, basically.
Yeah, that's right. And it's the same. We are in a lucky situation that we can keep on going in a quite normal way. The stuff is here. We have enough space in place for all of us to work, but we can keep the distance what's necessary. And also it's important, we are 3 generations here on our farm, so I try to keep everything really safe because of my parents. So this is also responsibility here to try to keep it as normal as possible, but to keep the safeness in your mind. And I'm really at home, and on one hand I enjoy this, of course, because I really can focus on the young horses. I can see them for a long time now in a row, and also to see the other horses with my riders and with my staff. So this is on one hand really good and helpful, and on the other side, of course, all of us are athletes. We want to compete, but at the moment we take the time like it is. We use it for the positive things, and also keep the respect for this stupid virus, and stay where we are.
And Isabell, have you had to become a school teacher as well? Are you homeschooling at Frederick as well?
Oh yes, I had it for 2 weeks, and I will. I think to keep on going in April for after the Easter holidays. I think we have 2, 3, 4 more weeks. I don't know how long, but I'm sure we will have some homeschooling, and this is really, really exciting and very, very hard. I can promise you that. Carl, you can't imagine how hard it is.
I can. I've met him. He has got so much energy, your son. I mean, he's like the craziest boy on two.
But not for school. So this is a problem.
No.
But okay.
We've had a couple of questions. So carry on, Isabell.
Now I know much better what they do in school. So this is one and also quite helpful.
A bit of appreciation shown for the teachers maybe now from every household, I think.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. For sure.
We've had some questions on email prior to us going live today. One from England, Ashley from the Midlands. Do the modern innovations and developments of tack make the sport more competitive? I think they're probably talking about the different girths that you can buy now, buckles being lower on headpieces and things like that. As the tack, Carl, has the innovations in tack helped you?
Yes, I mean there of course is technology that, you know, for instance, particularly that's been done, you know, in the UK with saddle pressure, bridle pressure, how it affects the length of the horse's stride, you know, comfort. Of course, we all want our horses to be comfortable, and we want correct fitting tack and everything. And perhaps it was something that, you know, people didn't pay attention to in the past, and now is very much, you know, part of modern technology and sport. I still think nothing probably beats good riding. You know, I remember 25 years ago, someone saying to me, "What do you need a physio for? If you rode properly, the horse wouldn't need a physio." You know, I'm not that archaic. I don't quite believe that that's all, you know, that's true. I mean, we have physios for ourselves and our horses. But I still think, you know, that good riding, you know, is probably the one thing that we all try to do to have it correct. But I mean, you know, it is interesting, you know, putting your finger, you know, under the headband on a horse's bridle, let's say, or, you know, in a various position on a saddle, and actually feeling that, of course, that you can have restrictions if you don't have correctly fitting tack. But I would hope by the time you get to this level of competition that you would know when your horse is comfortable or not.
Isabell, do you look out for innovations? Do you take notice of what there is out there?
I think we all looking forward what happens and what's new, and what can I use for my own horses or for my own riding, of course. And of course, some things, the girths, for example, to make it as comfortable as possible for the horses. And not each horse needs something special, but some special horses need something special. So then you look around and see, oh, what can we do? And so, and of course, all the technologies, and it helps more and more. You can stalk in the internet what's going forward and what can you try and test. We can't find a new wheel, but I think a lot of things are more or less just business, and helps more the people who sell it instead of riders or horses. But also always there are a few things who are really good or helpful, and where I would say that really an innovation. So yeah, you can look in with all the food around horses, with all the treatment stuff, all the stuff you can now, the how to say, machines you can use instead of treatments or some veterinarian or some medicine. So there's a lot of things around to support and to help horses, where 10 years ago you just had a medicine for. So I think we shouldn't close our eyes, but also, like Carl said, riding is riding, and for something nothing else can help than a vet or a good basic, but to keep our eyes open is also good and helpful.
Thank you. But Isabell, there's actually a question coming for you, specifically for you, from Claire in Hamburg. Having competed on so many fabulous top-class horses, is it possible for you to say that one was the best you had ridden?
Yes.
What's the answer? Belarus. Yeah. Yeah. And she's still riding. You're still riding her, aren't you?
Yeah. She's really in a good shape, and now we really enjoy the weather and to go a bit in the field on the racetrack and so on. And she's really motivated, so she waits for competitions.
Great. And we've had a question from Cornwall, UK. Babs in Cornwall this is through Facebook. As someone who enjoys watching dressage but knows very little about it, how do you select a suitable horse, and what is the most difficult part of the early training? And I'm going to add to that with that question, which is a fabulous question, we could be here for about 3 days, I expect, for the answer to that question. So how do you select a suitable horse, and what is the most difficult part of the early training? Carl.
Well, I mean, if you want to be competitive, first of all, you need 3 good gaits. I mean, you know, nowadays to start in the sport with a horse that doesn't have a good walk and a good trot and a good canter, you're already at a disadvantage. So that is very important. You know, conformation that people talk about. I mean, when I look at all the types of horses at top level, or all the horses that I've had, or all the horses that Isabell had, there is no one shape that says this is going to be a good horse. I mean, the funniest shaped horses can, if they have motivation, can be top class horses, despite the fact they might not look amazing when they don't have their tack on. It depends also when you're buying your horse. If you're buying your horse before it's ridden, then you have no way really of knowing what the temperament is going to be like when you're on the horse's back. So that is a lottery, and for that lottery, you obviously would pay a lot less money. Now, when you're able to sit on the horse and you decide what your temperament is, because at the end of the day, I think if you're a temperament that is a very fiery, hot rider, you probably don't need a horse that has the same temperament as you. You might need a little bit the opposite. But sometimes, you know, I mean, for somebody like me, you know, a horse that has a lot of personality, has a lot of energy, and also can be a little bit difficult when they're young, normally come through, you know, when they're 7 or 8 and getting better trained to be very good horses because they have a bit of personality. But some people that, you know, that I talk to or looking for a horse, you know, something more like a police horse makes them feel happier and more comfortable. But that wouldn't be my idea of a top horse. It's very difficult to find these perfect temperament horses. They become more perfect as they get better trained. So it's very personal. I have to say, you know, the one thing I always say is sometimes you can look at the horse and say, I wouldn't really like that. And then you get on it and you like really like it because it gives you the motivation that you know you can turn it into something special. And as Isabell will tell you, I mean, Germany has the biggest selection probably of dressage horses in the world. So you will see lots of horses with fantastic gaits, but you never see them at Grand Prix. So is it because they go to the wrong riders, or is it because the horse does not have the temperament to want to be a Grand Prix horse? Because they are like people, you know, like the ones that want to be at the top, they really want to work and be at the top. We don't make them do that. They want to keep working at that top level. And if your horse is unmotivated, then I think that is what makes it so difficult in the early years to become a top horse. Because if your horse is unmotivated, you become unmotivated. And also, you cannot create this elegant picture in the end, because if you're the rider that is pushing and shoving and trying to make your horse do it, you can't possibly look elegant and refined and still and create the picture that dressage is supposed to look like. My opinion. That's what I mean. This is opinion because, you know, as I said, what I like, somebody else might not like. So, and I appreciate that when someone comes to me and says, my horse is a top horse. And I look at it and I think it's not to me. But I think really what I'm trying to say is get on it rather than look at it and say, I don't like it, get on it. That's more of an indication as to whether you want to train this horse all the way to the top.
Isabell, do you have anything to add to Carl there on that subject?
Not really, and a lot. That's the main thing. The horse has to fix the rider. It's like Carl said, really personal. And a horse, what we need for the top sport is maybe for a lot of other people not the right horse. So if I look for a horse, of course I look for 3 top gaits, and but then the most important thing for me is the rideability, the motivation and the elasticity. This points also have to be really top. To have a really competitive and light moving horse. That's what we are looking for, and at the end to get the picture, what Carl said, to create the light and elegant picture for dressage.
And Isabell, do you, or both of you, do you have an ideal age? Do you like to get a horse's at a particular age when they're young, or does that just depend on the animal itself? You know, do you like them at 4, for example, or earlier or later?
I like them with 3 or 4 because then I really can build them up like I want to do it, because I can modulate the horse in the right way. Later, it's just luck. If you get a horse with 6 or 7, then most of the time they're not good enough, or really bedridden, or sick, or something else. Something special is with the horse around. Of course, maybe you have a really lucky punch, but normally this is much more difficult instead of looking for a very young one. Without like a foal, or without a saddle with 2 or something, this is a bit of lottery, and just looking for lotteries is a bit difficult in our sport, in our business. To have one lottery, and the rest should be a bit more safe.
Okay. Well, we've got just a couple more minutes to go. Carl, I want to just ask you a question about equestrian relief. In the UK, Isabell, there's a huge movement in the equestrian industry to do lots of funny things and raise money for our National Health Service, I think, in principle. Carl, tell us a little bit about equestrian relief, because you're involved, aren't you?
Yes, well, we have teams of 5. We've got the dressage team, the invention team, show jumping, and now a group of commentators and a polo team. And this has been set over this week. It's a 5-day challenge with 5 tasks. So each rider or personality has to pick 2 challenges, and it has to be videoed, filmed, and then your final result will be judged. So you have a choice of running a 5-kilometer run. You can do the plank, you can cook, and you can paint. And then if you have a hidden talent, whatever that might be. So 5 of us obviously on the dressage team. So or the 2 jobs that I wouldn't have wanted any of those. I wouldn't say I was talented at any of those jobs. So I went for the baking and for the art. So on Wednesday now I will be able to say I know how Isabell feels, because on Wednesday I spent 5 hours in a kitchen baking 4 cakes and drinking a lot of wine as I did it. And then yesterday I had my artwork, which had to be of a horse, obviously one of the horses that you own, or some of the horses. So I tried to make a cartoon with the 4 horses that I had that have won me medals. And we're just trying to, basically our aim is to make £100,000 by the end of this week for our NHS, for the key workers out there on the front line. So it's been fun, but obviously the seriousness behind it is to raise this money to go straight to the NHS. But I mean, as Isabell will say, it doesn't matter whether you're baking a cake or painting a picture. Unfortunately, the competitive spirit gets very strong. And, you still want to win, even though we're having fun doing it. And we will find out, I think, tonight, yes, Friday night, of course. So today's the last day of the challenges. Today is the hidden talents, and we've got Richard Davison on our team. I know he's doing a hidden talent, and it's something to do with rounding up sheep. So I'm not quite sure where all of these talents are coming from or to, but it's a fantastic thing. And equestrian, Nina Barber came up with this idea, of course, in Bolesworth Castle, one of our big international shows here. And she was right in there at the beginning and getting this all organised. So it's been a challenging week in many ways.
Well, and also I'd like to just also plug that there's, related to equestrian relief, there is an online auction as well. And I had a look at the items yesterday, absolutely fantastic. And that's on equestrianrelief.com. And everyone should go on there and look what they can bid for. And also, have a look at Carl's cakes later, maybe. Anyway, we're coming towards the end.
I'm glad you will only know what they look like and not what they taste like. That's the good thing about a competition in these times.
Oh, that's really great to hear, because we also start with a little Actimus Pony for Future, because we try to to get money and to collect money and spend it then for the little riding clubs and the little pony clubs, because they're really, really in trouble, and they have a lot of financial problems. So also to try to support them a bit, and it's so great to see that so many people really try to support and have ideas how to help them, because they have no income, but the costs are the same like normal. So that's really difficult business at the moment here, also in Germany, but everywhere, I think.
Yeah, I think the point there.
Sure.
Sorry, I was just going to say, what Isabell's talking about raising money for is where we all started. And you imagine, the amount of children and young people that, come up through there. And, I'm getting messages all the time at the moment from young children, or, who are so upset not to be able to see their ponies at the moment because they can't go out. Just, sometimes it's just it doesn't have to just be about money. Sometimes just a message of support, just to say, that they will hopefully soon have a time to be back with their ponies and riding again, and life returning to some sort of normal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both very much also for all the efforts that you're both making to raise money, because there are so many causes. In fact, the knock-on effects of this terrible virus, it's frightening the more you think about it. Well, we've come to the end of our time on EPTV Live, and I really appreciate it, Isabell and Carl, for joining us. Perhaps we should just end by just, saying one more word about Dr. B and our sympathies going to their family. Do you want to just sort of bow out on that, Carl?
Well, basically it's just the debt, the dressage world as a whole probably, owe him, and how sad we all feel about, when you lose somebody like this, because, not only has he been so instrumental in British dressage, but I think for, he sat on committees globally for dressage and for improving the sport and how to take it forward. He's done a lot for the world of dressage, not just here in the UK. And, I know, as Isabell said right back at the beginning, our sympathies with Laura, and especially Mrs. B at this time. It's a terrible time for everybody at the moment. And sometimes when these things, come along at this time, it just seems to escalate how we're all feeling. It's just real sadness at the moment. And, I hope that none of us are ever going to forget what he's done. So I hope that later in the year, when this clears up a little, I know there's going to be a memorial service here in the UK. And, that'll be some way where we can all, say our thanks to him and the family.
Thank you, Carl. Isabell, thank you very much indeed. My best wishes to both of you and all your families and friends. And that draws us to a close for this wonderful conversation with Carl Hester and Isabell Werth. Thank you for coming on EPTV Live. Bye-bye.
Thank you.